A generation was told one thing from childhood: go to college, get the degree, take the loan if you have to. The job will come later, and the debt will be worth it. For some people, that promise worked, but for millions of Americans, the promise became a trap. They did what they were told. They signed the papers, they trusted the system, they walked across the graduation stage, and then they entered adulthood with a financial weight around their neck before their real life had even started. This is the student loan problem nobody wants to admit. It is not just about personal responsibility. It is about a system that sold education like a guaranteed ticket to the middle class, while quietly transferring the risk to young people. Student loans feel different from other debt because they come wrapped in hope. Nobody takes out student loans because they want to be reckless. They take them because they believe they are investing in their future, and that is what makes the trap so powerful. A credit card buys today. A student loan promises tomorrow, but when tomorrow does not pay enough, the debt stays. The first problem is price. College became extremely expensive. Tuition rose, fees rose, housing rose, books, transportation, technology, and living costs added even more pressure. For many families, saving enough was impossible, so loans became normal, not rare, not emergency support, normal. The system changed the meaning of college from something you pay for into something you finance. And once something becomes financed, the price can keep rising because the payment is pushed into the future. That is how debt makes expensive things feel temporarily affordable. The second problem is the income gap. A degree can still be valuable, but not every degree leads to the same income. Not every graduate enters a strong job market. Not every borrower finishes school. Not every student receives honest guidance about the long-term cost. So two people can borrow similar amounts but have completely different futures. One becomes a high earner and pays it off. The other enters a low-paying field, faces job instability, or leaves school without a degree. And the same loan becomes a life sentence. This is why the simple advice, just pay what you borrowed, misses the point. The real issue is that many borrowers were asked to make one of the biggest financial decisions of their lives when they were barely adults. They were told debt was normal. They were told college was necessary. They were told the system would reward them later. Then later arrived, and the math did not always work. The third problem is interest. Interest turns a loan into a moving target. A borrower may pay month after month and still feel like the balance barely changes. Some people pay for years and discover they owe almost as much as they started with. Others fall behind, enter forbearance, or switch repayment plans, and the debt becomes more complicated. This is the emotional damage of student debt. It delays everything: marriage, home ownership, children, starting a business, moving to a better city, saving for retirement. It is not just a monthly payment. It is a shadow over every major life decision. The fourth problem is confusion. Repayment plans change, rules change, forgiveness programs change, court decisions change, political promises change. Borrowers hear one message one year and another message the next. That uncertainty is exhausting. A normal loan should be clear. Borrow this, pay this, finish here. But student loans often feel like a maze. Some borrowers do not know which plan they should be on. Some do not know whether forgiveness will count. Some fear choosing wrong and paying for years without making real progress. And when the rules are confusing, the people with the least time and money often suffer the most. The fifth problem is accountability. Everyone points at someone else. Colleges say costs are high because education is expensive. Government says loans expand access. Lenders and servicers say they are just following rules. Politicians use the issue for campaigns. Parents tell students college is the safest path. Employers demand degrees for jobs that may not truly need them. And the borrower ends up holding the bill. That is the system nobody wants to admit. It is not one villain. It is a chain of incentives. Colleges get paid up front. The government backs the loan. Employers get credentialed workers. Politicians get to promise opportunity. And young people carry the risk. The climax of this story is simple. America told students education was the way out. Then it made the way out too expensive to walk through without debt. And now millions of people are trying to build adult lives while paying for a promise that did not always deliver. Does that mean college is useless? No. Education can still change lives. Many degrees still pay off. Many people use college to enter careers they could never access otherwise. But the old message was too simple. Go to college at any cost is dangerous advice. The better question is, what is the cost? What is the likely income? What are the alternatives? What happens if the job market changes? What happens if you do not finish? And who benefits if you borrow more than you can safely repay? That is what students should have been taught before signing. Student debt is not just about loans. It is about trust. Millions trusted that the system was designed to lift them up. But for too many, it became a system that collected payments from their future before that future even began. And until America admits that, the student loan trap will continue, not because students failed, but because the promise was sold without telling the full price. There is another layer that makes this trap even harder to escape: time. A student loan is usually taken out when a person is young, optimistic, and still trying to understand how the real world works. At that age, the future feels huge. 10 years sounds far away. A monthly payment sounds manageable, and the idea of struggling with that same decision for decades feels almost impossible to imagine. But money decisions made early can follow people for a very long time. A borrower may delay building savings because the loan comes first. They may avoid taking career risks because the payment comes first. They may stay in a job they dislike because the payment comes first. They may put off moving, starting a family, or buying a home because the payment comes first. That is why student debt is not just a bill. It can become a quiet tax on adulthood. And the most painful part is that many borrowers were not buying luxury. They were buying permission to compete. They were told that without a degree, they would fall behind. So they borrowed not because they wanted debt, but because they were afraid of being left out of the modern economy. This is what makes the system feel so unfair. The same society that tells young people education is necessary also allows the price of that education to become dangerous. Then, when the debt becomes heavy, the blame often falls only on the borrower. But a fair system would not only ask students to be responsible, it would also ask schools, lenders, employers, and policymakers to be honest about the real value and real cost of the promise they are selling. And in the end, finance is not just about numbers on a screen. It is about the choices we make, the systems we live in, and the future we are trying to protect. If this video helped you see money a little differently, subscribe to the channel for more clear and honest finance breakdowns. Thanks for watching.